Hey, what's up everybody? This is Osterberg501 and today I want to go over the new information we have gotten for one of the most highly anticipated upcoming RPGs, Starfield. And all of this information comes from a 15-minute gameplay reveal at the Xbox and Bethesda showcase where they were able to show off a ton of new information about the game, including combat, character customization, tons of different planets and environments, main hub cities, crafting, research, weapon customization. They showed off a building system where you can build your own outposts and recruit different NPCs to come work on your outpost and keep it running. They showed off ship customization and ship combat. And then one of the biggest reveals for Starfield is they showed off the size of the game, which they are saying will have over 1,000 planets you're able to fly to and explore. And I just wanted to do a general overview of some of the information we got from this gameplay reveal. I want to do other videos going into some of the more specific information we learned, because there was actually a lot of information in this gameplay showcase and there's a lot of stuff I want to go over. So first off, we got to see some of the third and first person combat using a handful of different weapons, which all seem to be a more futuristic take on a lot of more modern weapons that are in the real world right now. For instance, one of the first weapons they use just looks like a sci-fi version of a P90. In general, the combat looks like a pretty decent upgrade from their Fallout combat. And I know that one of the biggest criticisms of this gameplay so far has been the shooting and the combat shown. Personally, I thought it was pretty decent. I don't think it was perfect or that it's going to live up to some of the best FPS game combat, but for a really deep RPG game, I don't think most people are going to have a big issue with the combat. And we actually got to see 4 different weapons in this first part of the gameplay. We were able to see a semi-automatic pistol, the P90 type weapon that I mentioned before, a double barrel shotgun, and then what looks to be more of a DMR style rifle, which I actually got out of a chest that they had to do a lock picking mechanic to open, which also shows off their new lock picking system that does seem to be a good upgrade from the lock picking of Elder Scrolls or Fallout. Just a small mini game that adds a little bit of gameplay to getting into certain lootable containers. They also showed off frag grenades, which makes sense. I would fully expect there would be a ton of different grenades or Molotovs or things of that nature to use in the game similar to Fallout. And all throughout this gameplay reveal, we got to see a ton of different environments, different planet locations, and they even take us to one of the main hubs of the game, New Atlantis. And we also got to see some different small clips of different cities in the game. And I'm really liking their city design. They seem pretty big, pretty packed with other NPCs to go interact with, and generally just look to be pretty well designed in my opinion. And this brings us to one of the most exciting parts of this showcase in my opinion, is the character creator and the new, more hardcore RPG mechanics in that. So the character creator for Starfield seems to be an upgrade in pretty much every way from what we can see so far. You have all the options you would fully expect. You can change hair, skin color, hair color, all that type of stuff. You have some pretty heavy customization on how you want to customize the build of your character. So they're more muscular, they're more thin, different body types, and they even have walking style as another customization, which is definitely something I haven't seen a lot of games do. So that's pretty interesting as well. But then once they get into the more RPG customization for your character creator, this is where I got much more exciting, because first off, you have a background you can choose from, and there's a list of them that seems to be a pretty extensive list, maybe 24, something like that. And these backgrounds give you 3 different perks that you start the game off with and can have a pretty massive effect when going out through the game, including in dialogue options. So they even give an example of if you choose a diplomat, it may unlock different options for you when talking to certain characters. So for instance, if you were to choose that diplomat background, it would give you the persuasion skill, which you gain an increased chance of success on speech challenges. You get the diplomacy skill, which you can force a target NPC at or below your level to stop fighting for a while. and then you get the bargaining skill, which you buy items for 5% less and sell for 10% more. And every single one of these background options have different starting skills. And there's a whole list of them. So you have Beast Hunter, Bouncer, Bounty Hunter, Chef, all these different type of things, which gives you a lot of options for creating builds and injecting a lot of that RPG into the game. But that's not the only options you have. For your character creator. You also have 3 different traits you can choose from. And these traits are kind of kiss curse effects. So they'll give you a buff and a debuff. So for instance, there's one called Space. Your body has become acclimated to space, so your health and endurance are increased when in space, but decreased when on the surface. And there's a ton of other options in here. And again, you get to choose 3 of these. So you're going to have your background with your 3 skills that comes with that, and then 3 other traits to choose just on your character creator. And then in conjunction with this, we also got to see the new skill system, which also seems pretty extensive. So this is going to be a main part of your progression and customization in the game. And these are essentially just kind of big skill trees you get to choose and upgrade different perks. And there are 5 trees from what we can see: physical, social, combat, science, and tech. And in all of these trees, you have a bunch of different options you can spec into. And every single one of these options also has different ranks. The specific one they showed was the ballistic skill. And at rank 1, your ballistic weapons do 10% more damage. Rank 2, they do 20% more damage. Rank 3, they do 30% more damage. And rank 4, your ballistic weapons range is increased by 30%. Now, how this is seeming to work is you choose one of these talents. Most likely you level up and get a skill point, but then you have to do challenges to unlock the next ranks. So for instance, to get to rank 4 of ballistics, you have to kill 250 enemies with a ballistic weapon. And this definitely seems like it's going to be adding a pretty large amount of RPG customization into the game. And I do like how they're doing it, where you choose this perk and then you have other challenges and things to go do to rank it up even more and get additional bonuses from it. And then next up, we got a look at the research and crafting systems in the game. Now, first off, we have the research laboratory, which is where you will go to research a bunch of different crafting recipes. And it seems like you can have different research projects being researched in every different section. And the sections we were able to see were pharmacology, food and drink, outpost development, equipment, and weaponry. Not sure if there's going to be more. And in those different tabs, there's tons of different options to research. And to start the research for these, it's just going to take different materials that you get throughout the game. So for instance, they were looking at research options for weapons to unlock different mods. And they were looking at barrel mods 1, which will cost iron, nickel, and sealant. And presumably this will allow you to craft a handful of different barrel mods, which you'll be able to put on whatever weapons these barrels are for. And then we got a small glimpse of the weapon modding, where they went from a base pistol to a pistol with a sight on it, a different barrel on it, and an extended magazine. And it seems like they're taking a lot of inspiration from the Fallout 4 weapon modding system, which in my opinion is definitely one of the things they should be taking inspiration from, because I think that was one of the best systems in Fallout 4, having the ability to pretty much customize any weapon in the game pretty heavily and give it a ton of different options. So I'm very glad to see a similar system coming in Starfield. And also, just to mention, I would fully recommend you go and watch this full gameplay reveal on YouTube. They have it uploaded in 4K and it looks very good in 4K. It looks a lot better than the kind of bad bitrate streams where it was actually revealed. And as you'll notice if you go and watch this whole presentation, that it kind of goes up and up and up with every new reveal. And that takes us to the next part that was revealed, and that is the building an outpost system in the game. So essentially you'll be able to go to all or at least a lot of the different planets in the game and create your own outpost that you can fully customize, use for crafting and resource generation, and you'll even be able to recruit NPCs, bring them to your outpost, and they can pretty much work and keep your outpost running. And I know some people aren't a fan of this type of gameplay. They weren't a fan of it in Fallout 4, but with how they're talking about it in this reveal, it seems like it might also be primarily optional. But I do know there are a ton of players that are just going to spend way too much time making ridiculously good looking outposts on the best looking planets they can find. And that brings us to an even bigger reveal, and that is you can fully customize and build your own spaceships. You'll be able to completely build them with tons of different parts from tons of different manufacturers. You can make them look completely different. They showed off a bunch of different options for different ships, and they all look completely different to each other with attaching different parts to different sections of the ship. And you also get to choose your own crew for the ship. So again, kind of like the Outpost, you'll be able to just recruit different NPCs and different characters from the game and have them come work on and man your ship. And not only that, but we got the reveal that this isn't just cosmetic, but this is also functional, because you will be able to personally fly your ships and use them in space combat. And they even showed off some of this combat, getting into dogfights out in space with other ships, shooting them down and blowing them up, which the debris from this actually looked really good in this engine. And this is just speculation, but it seems to me the physical way you actually put together your ship might matter, because when in these dogfights out in space, when they were starting to blow up these other ships, it seemed like different pieces of those ships were coming apart in different ways or blowing up in different ways. And with how you're able to create your ships that are basically completely modular, so you can attach whatever you want to wherever you want and completely customize your ship, it seems like the actual layout of your ship might also matter when it comes to combat. So that brings us to one of the biggest reveals of this showcase, and that is the size of the game. So they start off by showing that you are able to land anywhere on the planets you're going to, and there are a ton of different planets you can go to and explore. And a lot of them will have completely different environments, different looks. Some might be completely barren with just a lot of resources. Some might have civilizations on them. And then the big reveal was that you're not only able to explore that one system, but there are 100 systems in the game with 1,000 planets you can go to, land on, and explore, which is a pretty massive reveal. And we don't know how they're actually going about this. If I had to wager a guess, I would say that there's probably a chunk of kind of main planets that the main quests take you to that are much more handcrafted, have full handcrafted cities, and then a lot of the other planets are going to be some mix of procedurally generated and handcrafted segments. And most likely there will be a lot of planets that are either barren or just untouched by civilization, so there won't actually be a ton to see there, and those planets will most likely be more for resource gathering and building an outpost on if you want to build your outpost there. But that brings us to the end of the showcase, and I was pretty blown away by this gameplay reveal. There was a lot of stuff that I wasn't expecting to be in this game, and the majority of the stuff I saw, I was a massive fan of. I love that they're going back to more hardcore RPG elements, more similar to kind of Oblivion, probably not as hardcore as Morrowind, but probably closer to Oblivion, and just the massive scale of the game and all the options they're giving you. This made me a lot more excited for a game I was already excited for. And like I mentioned, there's a lot of other information I want to go over because there's a ton of additional information we can glean from the gameplay that was shown here. But that's pretty much all I want to go over. So subscribe if you want to see more Starfield or other videos. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about this gameplay reveal, and thanks for watching.